The plane banked hard. I pressed my face against the cool window. Below us, the world was a jagged masterpiece of rock and ice. This was it. The world's newest country, born from the shifting of the earth itself, a land thrust violently towards the heavens. There were no gentle slopes or rolling hills here. Only sharp, brutal peaks piercing the clouds, their snowy caps glowing in the high-altitude sun. It was like looking at the planet's very bones. The sheer scale of it was humbling. It made you feel incredibly small before you even set foot on the ground. A raw, untamed wilderness calling out to be explored. As we descended, the air inside the cabin seemed to thin. The landing was not for the faint of heart. The runway was a short, sharp scar carved into a mountainside, a testament to human determination. When the doors finally hissed open, I stepped out, and the air hit me like a physical force. It was thin, yes, but it was also utterly pure. It was cold, sharp, and clean, scrubbing my lungs with each deep breath. It smelled of wet rock, distant snow, and something ancient, something wild. There was a clarity to the light I'd never experienced, making the colors of the distant city below us seem impossibly vivid. The airport itself was simple, functional, concrete and glass. But it was the backdrop that stole your breath. The city was nestled in a deep valley, a cluster of buildings dwarfed by the colossal mountain walls that surrounded it on all sides. It was a fortress of nature. You could feel the power of the landscape in every direction you looked. The sky wasn't just a blue ceiling. It was an infinite deep dome that seemed to start right at the top of the peaks. This place didn't just have mountains, it was mountains. The air hummed with a quiet energy, a feeling of being on the edge of the world. My first moments were spent just standing there, taking it all in. The sun felt different here, warmer on the skin, but without the heavy heat of lower altitudes. The silence was profound, broken only by the whisper of the wind coming down from the high passes. It was a powerful first impression. This wasn't a place you simply visited. It was a place you felt in your gut. It was a land of extremes, of raw power and stark beauty. It was a challenge, laid out in granite and ice, and I couldn't wait to answer its call. The adventure had already begun. The city was a vibrant, chaotic symphony of life. Markets overflowed with colorful textiles, and the smell of roasting spices. People bustled through narrow streets, their faces etched with resilience and good humor. But my journey was not in the city. It was beyond it. I found my ride, an old battered Jeep that looked like it had wrestled with these mountains and won many times. The driver, a man with a wide smile and leathery skin, simply nodded, threw my pack in the back, and we were off. The engine roared to life, a promise of the raw power we would need. Leaving the city limits was like crossing a threshold into another dimension. The paved roads quickly dissolved into rugged dirt tracks that clung precariously to the sides of cliffs. The Jeep growled and complained, its tires spinning and gripping as we climbed higher and higher. With every turn, the last vestiges of urban life fell away, replaced by an ever-expanding wilderness. The air grew cooler, cleaner. The sounds of the city were replaced by the engine's roar and the crunch of gravel under our wheels. It was a jarring, thrilling transition, a physical shedding of the modern world. We bounced and lurched for hours. The journey was a test of endurance in itself. To my left, a sheer drop of hundreds of feet. To my right, a wall of rock reaching for the sky. Waterfalls cascaded down the cliffs, spraying a fine mist across the track. We drove through shallow rivers that threatened to sweep us away, the water splashing high against the windshield. The driver was a master of his craft, navigating the treacherous terrain with a calm focus that was both reassuring and awe-inspiring. He knew this land, its moods, its dangers. This Jeep ride was more than just transport. It was a rite of passage. It was the mountain's way of testing you, of asking if you were truly ready for what lay ahead. You had to surrender to the journey, to trust the machine and the man driving it. With every kilometer we covered, I felt myself leaving the familiar world behind. The city became a distant memory, a pinprick of civilization in a vast, untamed landscape. We were heading into the heart of the wild, where the real rules were made by nature, not by man. After hours on the rattling track, the world softened. The jeep descended into a sheltered valley, and there, like a secret, was a small village. It was a cluster of simple stone houses with brightly painted doors, huddled together as if for warmth. Smoke curled lazily from a few chimneys, the only sign of movement in the tranquil afternoon air. There were no roads, no power lines, just well-worn footpaths connecting the homes. This was a place where time seemed to move at a different pace, dictated by the sun and the seasons, not by a clock. As we stopped, the silence was broken by the sound of children's laughter. They spilled out from behind a stone wall, their faces beaming with curiosity. They weren't shy. They were just openly, wonderfully interested. Dressed in handmade woolen clothes of vibrant colors, they pointed at the jeep, at my strange boots, their eyes wide with wonder. They didn't ask for anything. They just wanted to see, to be part of this new event in their quiet world. Their laughter was a pure, joyful sound that echoed off the ancient stones. It was the sound of life, simple and beautiful. The homes were built from the mountain itself. Thick stone walls provided shelter from the wind, and small, deep-set windows looked out onto breathtaking views. Small garden plots were carved into the hillside, growing hardy vegetables. I saw an old woman sitting on her doorstep, spinning yarn with a hand spindle, her fingers moving with a practiced grace that spoke of a lifetime of skill. There was a profound sense of peace here, a harmony between the people and their environment. They didn't fight the mountain, they lived with it, as part of it. This was not a life of luxury, but it was a life of richness. The air smelled of wood smoke, damp earth, and cooking bread. The only sounds were the wind, the distant bleating of goats, and the murmur of quiet conversation. It was a powerful reminder that we don't need much to be happy. These people had community, they had purpose, and they had a deep connection to the land that sustained them. It was a humbling lesson, delivered not with words, but with the quiet dignity of their everyday existence. This was the true soul of this new country. Leaving the village behind, the true ascent began. With my pack on my back, the world was reduced to the rhythm of my own 2 feet. The path was no longer a track for a jeep, but a narrow trail worn into the mountainside by generations of herders and their animals. The air thinned noticeably, with every 100 meters of elevation gained. My lungs worked harder, my legs felt heavier, but my spirit soared. The landscape transformed around me. The lush green of the lower valleys gave way to hardy scrub, then to alpine meadows dotted with resilient, tiny flowers. The weather became a living entity. One moment the sun would be warm on my back, illuminating the vast panorama of peaks around me. The next, a cloud would sweep in from nowhere, enveloping me in a cold, damp fog that reduced visibility to a few feet. The temperature could drop 10 degrees in as many minutes. It was a constant reminder of who was in charge up here. You had to be prepared for anything. You had to respect the mountain's power and its unpredictable moods. It demanded your full attention, your full presence. The views were staggering, and they changed with every step. I would round a bend and be confronted with a new vista, a turquoise glacial lake, a hanging valley, a jagged ridge that looked like the spine of a sleeping dragon. The world opened up below me, a tapestry of rock, snow, and shadow. The scale was almost impossible to comprehend. Other mountains, which had seemed immense from the valley floor, were now small foothills far below. I felt like I was climbing the staircase of the gods, ascending to a realm where only the hardiest of creatures could survive. The physical challenge was immense. My muscles ached. The thin air made every breath a conscious effort. But there is a magic that happens when you push your body to its limits in a place like this. A mental clarity emerges. The worries and complexities of the modern world fall away, replaced by simple, immediate needs. The next footstep, the next breath, a sip of water. It's a purifying process. You are stripped down to your essential self. And with every upward step, I felt not weaker, but stronger, more alive, and more connected to the wild heart of the planet. It was on the second day of the trek that I met Kyle. He wasn't an official guide in the way most people would understand. He was a man of the mountains, born and raised in the high valleys. I found him resting by a stream, carving a piece of wood with a small, sharp knife. He had a face that looked like it was carved from the same rock as the peaks around us, weathered by sun and wind, but his eyes were bright and kind. He wasn't surprised to see me. He simply nodded and gestured for me to sit, as if he'd been expecting me. We sat in comfortable silence for a while, just listening to the gurgle of the stream and the whisper of the wind. Finally, I asked him about the country, this new land. He smiled a slow, thoughtful smile. "This land is not new," he said, his voice a low rumble. "It is old. Older than all of us. It was just sleeping. The world had forgotten it was here, under the old ground. Now it has woken up. It has stood up to remind us what is real." His words were simple, but they carried the weight of profound truth. I asked him what he meant by real. Kyle paused his carving and looked up, his gaze sweeping across the magnificent peaks that surrounded us. Down there, he gestured vaguely towards the unseen world below. People have soft hands and complicated minds. They worry about things that are not real. Money, status, noise. Here, he patted the rock he was sitting on. The rock is real. The cold is real. Hunger is real. The beauty is real. The mountain does not lie. It teaches you what matters. He told me that the people of this land, his people, believe the mountains have a spirit. They are not just rock and ice. They are living beings. When the earth shook and pushed us up, he explained, it was not an accident. It was a calling. A calling for people to remember the strength of the earth, to feel small again, to look up at the stars and feel awe. Our country is not a place on a map. It is a feeling. It is the spirit of survival, of strength, of simplicity. His wisdom was a powerful gift, more valuable than any map. As the afternoon sun began to dip lower, Kyle gestured towards a small, flat ledge, sheltered from the wind by a massive boulder. "We rest here," he announced. It wasn't a question. He unpacked a small, worn cloth from his pack, laying it out on the rock. From within, he produced a round, flat loaf of dense bread, a hard piece of cheese, and a flask of steaming tea. It was a simple offering, but in this high, wild place, it felt like a banquet fit for a king. The generosity of sharing what little you have is the most profound generosity of all. He broke the bread in half and handed a piece to me. It was heavy and a little dry, but it was the most delicious thing I had ever tasted. It tasted of nourishment, of sustenance, of survival. We ate in silence, the only sound the satisfying crunch of the bread and the wind whistling over the ridge above us. The cheese was salty and sharp, a burst of flavor that cut through the fatigue in my muscles. This simple act of breaking bread together, thousands of feet up a mountainside, forged a bond stronger than words ever could. After we ate, Kale poured the tea. It was a local brew, made from mountain herbs he had gathered along the way. He poured it into 2 tin mugs that were battered and blackened from years of use over open fires. The warmth of the mug in my cold hands was a comfort in itself. The tea was fragrant and slightly bitter, but it sent a wave of warmth through my entire body, chasing away the high-altitude chill. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated contentment. Just 2 men, sharing a simple meal, dwarfed by the immensity of nature. That small meal was a lesson. We often seek fulfillment in grand gestures and extravagant experiences. We think more is better, but sitting there, on that rocky ledge, I realized that the most memorable moments are often the simplest. A piece of bread, a cup of hot tea, a shared silence with a new friend. In the wilderness, you are stripped of all the unnecessary layers of life. What remains is what truly matters: warmth, food, and human connection. It was a feast for the soul, and I felt utterly nourished. As our simple meal concluded, Kale pointed towards the western ridge. "The sky will put on a show for us now," he said. And he was right. The sun began its slow descent, and the world transformed into a masterpiece of light and shadow. The sharp, grey peaks were suddenly painted in hues of gold, orange, and fiery red. The light caught the edges of the ridges, making them glow as if lit from within. The valleys below, already deep in shadow, became pools of dark, mysterious purple. It was the most spectacular sunset I have ever witnessed. The colors changed with every passing minute. The fiery red softened to pinks and lavenders, casting a gentle, ethereal glow over the entire landscape. The snow on the highest peaks turned a soft, rosy color, like a final, gentle blush before the day ended. A profound silence fell over the mountains, as if the world itself was holding its breath in awe. There was no sound but the faint sigh of the wind. I felt a sense of peace so deep it was almost overwhelming. It was a moment of pure, perfect beauty, a gift from the wilderness. And then, as the last sliver of light vanished, the second act of the show began. The sky, now a deep, velvety indigo, began to prickle with light. First 1 or 2 stars, then dozens, then hundreds, until the entire celestial dome was ablaze with 1,000,000 points of diamond-like light. With no city lights to pollute the view, the stars were brighter and clearer than I had ever seen them. The Milky Way was a thick, shimmering river of light, stretching from one horizon to the other. It was so close, so tangible, I felt like I could reach out and touch it. Lying on my back, wrapped in my sleeping bag, I stared up at the cosmic spectacle. Shooting stars streaked across the abyss, silent and fleeting. The sheer, mind-boggling scale of the universe was laid bare above me. It was a deeply humbling experience. All my struggles, my triumphs, my very existence felt so small and insignificant in the face of such vastness. And yet, I did not feel small in a negative way. I felt connected to it all, a tiny but integral part of this magnificent, sprawling cosmos. The mountain had given me the sky. The days that followed were a blur of physical effort and spiritual awakening. Every step was a challenge, but every summit gained was a reward beyond measure. Standing on a windswept ridge, looking out over a sea of peaks stretching to the horizon, I felt a profound shift within myself. The person who had arrived on that plain was not the same person standing here now. The mountains have a way of grinding you down, of stripping away your ego and your pride, leaving only the raw, essential core of who you are. And in that process, they rebuild you, stronger and more resilient. I felt incredibly small, not in a way that diminished me, but in a way that liberated me. Standing in the presence of such ancient, colossal power, my own worries and ambitions seemed trivial. The pressures of my everyday life, the deadlines, the expectations, they all melted away in the face of the mountain's immense, silent indifference. It didn't care about my successes or my failures. It simply was. And in its presence, I could simply be. It was a profound relief to let go of the need to be important, and to simply be a part of something so much bigger than myself. This feeling of smallness brought with it an incredible sense of peace. My mind, usually a whirlwind of thoughts and plans, grew quiet. The constant internal chatter ceased. There was only the present moment. The feeling of the wind on my face, the ache in my legs, the breathtaking view before me. It was a form of meditation, not practiced on a cushion in a quiet room, but lived and breathed on the side of a mountain. I found a stillness inside myself that I never knew existed, a quiet center in the storm of life. This journey changed my perspective on everything. It reminded me that the greatest challenges often yield the greatest rewards. It taught me that strength is not just about physical power, but about resilience, humility, and the ability to endure. The mountain had tested me, pushed me, and ultimately healed me. It had scoured me clean, leaving me with a renewed sense of purpose and a deeper understanding of my own place in the world. I was just one small part of a magnificent whole, and that was more than enough. As the time came to descend, to leave the high peaks behind, and return to the world of noise and haste, I carried a new understanding with me. True adventure, the kind that changes you from the inside out, is rarely found in five-star hotels or luxury resorts. It's not about comfort or indulgence. It's found in the rough, uncomfortable, and beautifully real places. It's found in the grit, the struggle, and the raw, unfiltered experience of connecting with the natural world on its own terms. This country, with its simple villages and immense peaks, was the epitome of that truth. The greatest luxuries are not material things. They are a lungful of pure, cold mountain air. They are a drink of water straight from a glacial stream. They are the warmth of a fire after a long day's trek. They are the shared smile of a stranger who offers you a piece of their bread. This journey was devoid of conventional comforts, but it was filled with these true treasures. It was rich in a way that money can never buy. It was a reminder that the best things in life are not things at all. Some places are extraordinary, not because they are polished and perfect, but because they are real. This new country was not trying to be anything other than what it was: a raw, powerful, and breathtakingly beautiful piece of the planet. Its value was in its authenticity. It didn't need fancy restaurants or tourist traps. Its attraction was the challenge it presented, the peace it offered, and the profound connection to nature it demanded. It was a place that rewarded effort with unparalleled beauty and struggle with inner peace. In the end, this journey was not about conquering a mountain. You can never conquer a mountain. You can only be its guest for a short while. This journey was about discovering something within myself. It was about finding a strength I didn't know I had and a peace I desperately needed. This tall new country, born from the earth's raw power, had shown me what is real, what is important, and what it truly means to be alive. And that is a treasure I will carry with me forever. The wild is the ultimate teacher.